Michael Dore, Racing Operations Manager at Greyhound Racing New Zealand. Look, thanks for your time. Interesting times. Saturday, March 21st, Alert Level 2 was announced, and then as the country was sort of still taking that in, on the Monday, Alert Level 3 is announced, and it saw Greyhound Racing New Zealand abandon the meetings the next 2 days. Well, the meetings on the next day, the two meetings on the Tuesday, and also one on Wednesday the 25th that was scheduled. Now, if we didn't race under Alert Level 3 then, what's different now?
Yeah, Mark, we were all sort of taken by surprise on the Monday, having just got the word on the Saturday. We're actually working on the Monday morning to live under Alert Level 2. But the big thing about that Alert Level 3 on the Monday was that it was conditional on preparing for lockdown Alert Level 4 on the Wednesday night at midnight. And we discussed it with the clubs and felt that preparing for lockdown doesn't involve going to Greyhound. So that condition really dictated what we were doing. And we were all sitting there working under Alert Level 2. We're already planning calendar changes and that on the Monday morning, and then bang, she's all over.
Indeed. So what's been the process followed to get Greyhound Racing back on track under Alert Level 3 as of now?
Well, we've received a big help from Rita's industry liaison and government relations people, Ian Long and Bill Delamere. They've sort of coordinated with the three codes on how we should approach the government and exactly who should we approach. So at one stage, it was looking like we'd need to get a sign-off from MPI and EMB and DIA, but we got DIA approved as our sort of master thing. Then the government announced Alert Level 3 stating that we're moving from essential workplaces to safe workplaces. Obviously, we felt we'd be able to create a safe workplace at the racetrack, and the people who decide safe workplaces are naturally work safe. So because we were going to be racing first, I deliberately held back and let thoroughbreds and harness go first, because if they couldn't get the Matamata, Cambridge and Franklin training centres up and running, we're going to be no chance of actually getting racing. So we put them on the Tuesday that the lockdown, we moved to Alert Level 3. Those thoroughbreds and harness went in first. We went in the Tuesday afternoon. WorkSafe gave an early estimate that we might have the response by the Friday. The other codes got theirs on the Friday. We didn't get ours to the Tuesday. But during that time, we were writing the protocols and getting self working.
Who did you work with to sort of determine the protocols for the racing that we're going to see in the initial stages of this racing under Alert Level 3?
Yeah, well, we had a big leg up. Obviously, during the lockdown, we had plenty of time to think about it. And of course, Australian racing is still going. Thank goodness for Rita's sake, TAB's sake, that Australian racing did keep going. I don't think the ping pong could have kept us going. But yeah, Australia was lucky enough to keep racing. They had introduced protocols. We didn't really need to invent the wheel. So that was our open the bowling. Then we discussed those with the RIU, then the clubs. The club committees at Christchurch and Waikato were full of trainers. And of course, all during the lockdown, our guys in the office, Roger and Matt, they were manning the phones, and people were phoning in and talking about this and that and the next thing and what's going on in Australia. So yeah, we got feedback from a wide variety of people, but a big leg up on having Australia to copy.
Okay. Things different for each individual track. I mean, we're going to be racing at 5 tracks initially, and then Escott Park might get some races. We'll sort of touch on that soon. But are we looking at different protocols for each individual track?
Yeah, that's the way WorkSafe operate. It's not they don't give orders. They say you make your work site safe. Whether you're building a skyscraper or building a house or doing whatever. And so we looked at each track. I'm told the kenneling facilities at Manukau and Cambridge, they've got an indoor and an outdoor, so they can continue with split kenneling. Other tracks, it gets extremely tight with split kenneling, so people going in and out shoulder to shoulder. So we're boxing all the dogs away before race one. That's a couple of the key differences. But yeah, it really is what works at a racetrack to make that racetrack safe.
Only sprint racing for the first couple of meetings anyway. Is that going to change, and what's the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, there was just in discussion with the board as to how we should come back. Obviously, one of the reason greyhounds are coming back first is that their natural level of fitness is very high. They're virtually all trained at home, so the fitness can be kept up, unlike the use of training centres at the other codes. And the board actually felt that by from an animal welfare perspective, having those short distance races for a start on the back of trials would give dogs the ability to get to full fitness. There's been a lot of feedback on it. Some trainers are saying, we'll train the dogs, we know what we want to do. Others have said you shouldn't have a race over 300 metres for a fortnight. So there's been every perspective has been brought forward.
Okay, and so are we looking at other distances in the next few meetings?
Yeah. The Christchurch meeting on Thursday night, and then from Friday onwards, it'll be all distances. It's a normal high grade meeting, Christchurch Thursday night.
Have you received the expected nominations for these meetings so far?
Yeah, over 200 nominations for Wanganui on Tuesday and 150 for Christchurch. So Christchurch C1s only. So really good.
And we're looking at 12 race cards at the moment. Is that going to be it for the foreseeable future? Yeah,
with the kenneling all dogs before race one, it's sort of back to the days when we used to have 10 race cards on a Friday night with 30-minute intervals. And the dogs will be spending a longer time in the kennels, but so 15 races wouldn't be wise. I think we've programmed the meetings with back-to-back meetings in Central and South Island to enable most dogs we should be able to get all dogs to get a start eventually. But yeah, the 15 races just didn't fit into the safe race day.
Stakes have been maintained at the current level until the end of the season. How's that been possible?
Well, that was the great unknown over the lockdown period. Is of course the TAB have got a torpedo. The sports betting's gone, New Zealand racing's gone just instantly on that Monday. They had no view of that. So they've been working frantically on controlling their costs and working out how do you run a TAB when you can't open any stores. There's no New Zealand racing. So it took a while. It was just last Tuesday we finally had a funding meeting with them, and the picture that was painted there was a lot brighter than we expected. And we had a board meeting the very next day, and it was just terrific news that the board were able to say, hey, look, no change to the minimum stake schedule. And it was wonderful to be able to get that bit of good news out after sort of 4 or 5 weeks of gloom.
When will a decision be made on the stake levels for next season? And what are the key factors that might determine the outcome of that?
Well, we're pretty much living in the moment now. We'll TAB Rita have made their forecast for May, June, July. I guess we're going to learn a lot tomorrow, and over it's going to be vanilla for a month or so, or if not 3 months. I guess we'll learn what goes on there, and make decisions based on what we learn. But nothing's locked in place at the moment.
Why is there going to be no group race or feature race or NZRS races for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, I guess that was the cost of from the funding, being able to maintain minimum prize schedule. That gets into everybody's pocket. The group and feature and special races only go to a few pockets. So I think with everybody being in lockdown together and all of us trying to get out of it together, it made sense to keep that minimum stake schedule, but the price we had to pay was the top end.
Is there a possibility that some of these races could be run later in the season? So still in 2020, but it might be in another season, or are we just going to see sort of 2020 blank for some of our big races like the Derby and the Silver Collar?
Yeah, anything and everything's on the table. There could be 2 derbies in the 2021 season. There's been a lot of talk in regard to the potential of doing that. We'd hate to not run a derby or an Oaks or a collar, but we'll work through those solutions as we find out what we've got for the coming season. But yeah, anything's possible.
At the moment, obviously, there's restrictions around travel, so that would probably preclude us having a sort of a nationwide feature, if you like. But has any thought been given to maybe running some of these bigger races on a regional basis?
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing about 4 weeks in lockdown and Roger and Matt on the phones. The phones from work are diverted to their homes, so they're on the phone 24 hours a day. I shouldn't say that on TV. And so every city, there's been a number of suggestions, and certainly the idea of a northern collar, a central collar, and a Canterbury collar were discussed. As we roll forward, we're certainly listening to everybody, and there's lots of opinions. So we'll play those cards when we have to. We'd certainly like to be able to return to the full proper Group 1s.
The Silver Collar was going to be the 50th running. Obviously, Auckland were preparing something pretty special for that. Are there going to be races like that could be prioritised for later in the calendar year?
Yeah, we'll work with obviously the 50th collar was going to be a big one. It's still the next collar will be the 50th, whether it's in the same year. We'll work with that as those cards are dealt. We'll play the hand.
What's the thinking behind the race calendar as it is now set up for the remainder of the season? I guess the most notable feature is 4 meetings at Addington per week.
Yeah, it's pretty much was the calendar would just put the finishing touches to on the Monday morning, the 23rd of March, thinking under Alert 2. That's the first time travel restrictions kicked in, and I initially did a calendar with Christchurch on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Tony Music came back from the club and said, well, actually, I'd be better off Monday, Tuesday, because Sunday, Tuesday dogs look to back up. But with Monday, Tuesday, I can give the maximum number of dogs a start. And I felt that's what people would like. So that's how it rolled into place. Palmerston North moving to Tuesday brought the same situation in for Central Districts. 2 meetings back to back means that we get 24 races with 24 races worth of different dogs. So just maximising the opportunities for everyone to get a start. And naturally, Rita loved it's extremely cost effective. Rita looking to save costs. I think harness are kicking in with 2 harness meetings at Addington in July. So you'll be looking at 6 meetings a season at Addington, which of course is home base for the Canterbury video and on-course operation. So it's a nice cheap calendar for them, and it suits the licence holders.
There's no racing in the calendar there at Forbury Park. There's some racing, 3 races at selected Escott Park meetings where they effectively, I think, are going to join either a gallop or a harness meeting. How is that going to work, and who's eligible to nominate for those 3 races down there in Invercargill?
Yeah, we're decreeing that people allocate nominate within the region. So we want CD dogs in the CD, Northern dogs up north, and Canterbury dogs in Canterbury. For these Southland meetings, we're looking for a target on Southland dogs to be able to nominate for those. Bronwyn and Southland is going to have to get their thingy caps on, which you use invitation or encourages trainers to nominate a grade to get races up and running there. But those 3 races are definitely for the locals who they've been hardest at. They're going to be best part of 9 weeks without any racing.
Okay, so you do foresee a return to full meetings at Escott and potentially racing also at Forbury Park in the future?
Yeah, I think Rita's we'll be starting on the revamped calendar for next year. Rita have said they love this the cost effectiveness of the calendar that's in play, and they've actually said they'd like to see that continue into the start of the new season. So the dates process is a process, and this consultation will go on, and that's going to, I imagine, start this week.
Okay. Depending on nominations, like at Escott, would you be prepared, for example, to run a 4 or a 5 dog race?
Yes, we'll play those cards as they're dealt. I've already said to Bronwyn, we know it's going to be difficult. She said, it could be a struggle to get 3 races. So if they get 2 races, we'll get 2 races. We'll work out a plan. The great thing about the small number of licence holders down there, they all talk to each other. We'll know what dogs are ready. And I guess we'll stack the deck in terms of the way the programming is made, so we get 2 or 3 races off the ground.
You mentioned Palmerston North moving to Tuesday, but the first Tuesday we go back to racing is in fact at Hattrick in Wanganui. Why is that?
Yeah, there's a significant resurfacing job needed to be done at Palmerston North, and just the way the timing fell, because they weren't able to do it under lockdown, and with the amount of sand just going on the track, and then the forecast that we've had for the last couple of days, it just took Palmerston North out of play. So the Palmerston North Wanganui clubs are obviously very, very close. We just made the decision to switch that. Fingers crossed, we'll be trialling at Palmerston North on Thursday, racing there next Tuesday.
You've mentioned Roger and Matt getting lots of calls from trainers, etc. Look, what have you been hearing from them during this period? And are you aware of anybody who just simply hasn't been able to maintain their team because of the circumstances?
Nothing that negative. That we have heard everything. People actually say, "God, isn't it good to have a break?" Other people saying, "Look, on the day we're allowed to turn to racing, don't worry about trials. Get the racing up and going again," and everything in between. it's been good. The licensed person support page that was put up on Facebook. I love the Steve Hurd with put up the videos of his 6-month-old pups or that you had to guess the winners of. Gene Fahey putting up a raffle as to how many dogs bitches would be in a litter. So it's been good to see people supporting each other on that, and that's something that we need to continue.
What's your main message to licence holders and participants as we negotiate this first step back into greyhound racing, initially under Alert Level 3?
Well, it's now with racing. It's over to you guys. This is your show. Let's make it work. Boxing it's a new 4 lines of 2. You got to close the door and scarp it. Catching, look after each other. You guys know how to catch greyhounds. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. We'll learn as we go through. But if everybody's looking out for each other on the track, and that is everybody, we can make this work. If there's a late arrival, a dog's fallen or been a bit slow and it's 20 metres, 30 metres behind, make sure someone's yelling out, hey, the 4 dogs late or whatever, so that no one gets bowled by a dog. So get out there, enjoy the race day, but look after each other.
And now, the most difficult thing for me at this point in time is to try and find the dogs that'll win fresh up. But you have got some new form guides that can at least assist me in that. Can you tell us about them, also how we access those new form guides?
Yeah, well, finally, greyhound punters in New Zealand would have known for years we've never had the margins that dogs that finish 5th, 6th or 7th, 8th have been behind the winner. It could be 2 lengths, it could be 22 lengths. During the lockdown, software developer Sandfields have finally put through, so all the TAB form guides, you'll now see the dog's actual margin behind the winner from all dogs. And now on the new GRNZ form guide that we were showcasing from about mid-February, just go to advisories on the homepage of the GRNZ. You'll see a link through to new form guides. As well as those margins, we've got the race reviews like the horses have, telling you where they went. Now, the first thing the race review tells you is where the dog jumped, not where it was at the first corner, where it jumped. It jumped 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 8th, and then an actual commentary how the dog's performed. The critical thing, the last time that we show the best time of the day, and then we show the actual time that this dog ran, whether it ran 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and out to the right of that, we show the 5 fastest dogs over today's distance in the disclosed form. So when you look at race 1 at Wananui tomorrow, you'll see Sideline Sally, dog 3, has got 3 of the 5 fastest times run over the Wananui 3:05 of all the dogs in that race in their last 5 starts. So, okay, she's had a few weeks off, as they all have, but we've got that. It's new information for greyhound, so give it a look and hopefully you can find a winner from it.